Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. And thanks for all for coming. And I want to thank Warren and Don for your very enthusiastic words. That's very kind of you. I stand here in all humility because asking for your support as the NDP candidate in Regina Qu'Appelle. I say in all humility because I don't seek this nomination out of some desire for position in Parliament. Rather, I ask it because it's about time Regina and Regina Qu'Appelle had a voice that is heard in Parliament, a voice that speaks for all Canadians, not just a select few. The 13 Tory MPs from Saskatchewan, certainly the Tory MPs from here, haven't carried your message to Ottawa. They haven't been heard, and you haven't been heard on issues that matter to people here. It's time to change that. We have real pressing issues here in Regina Qu'Appelle, and Andrew Scheer and the rest of Harper's little helpers have been hiding from these issues long enough. Issues like housing, healthcare, pensions for seniors, sustainable communities. I've had 17 years on City Council, and over that time, I've stood up for your issues in Regina, and I've had 12 issues on the board of SUMA, and I know what your issues are in towns and villages across Saskatchewan. I've been listening, and I've been acting on what I've heard. I've heard you say, do something about potholes. Well, I've spoken with the engineers at City Hall, and they tell me that potholes are a result of the freeze-thaw cycle. So I've tried, and we've all tried at City Hall to fix this thing, but turns out it's a federal responsibility. So I'm going to go to Ottawa and get your potholes fixed. But before I go, and we have to decide here tonight, this freeze-thaw thing. Do we fix the weather so it never thaws? Hands up. Do we fix the weather so it never freezes? Hands up. Okay, good. Now I got that clear. Now about daylight savings time. No. Just kidding. When I announced I was seeking this nomination, I was asked by a reporter why I chose the New Democrats. Well, I told her it's because I'm a compassionate person, and Jack Layton and New Democrats like you are compassionate people. And that's what I believe in. That's what I believe our government needs. And when I see people in our communities living in substandard housing, when I see children being raised in homes that don't have adequate heating or sanitation, when I see people with mental illness on the streets because they can't care for themselves, when I see these things happening in our communities amongst all the plenty that we as Canadians and people in Regina Qu'Appelle share, I say we aren't doing enough. We must do more, and we can do more. I know people, and we all know people, decent, hard-working people who are finding themselves and their families unable to afford safe and healthy homes because of the boom in the Saskatchewan economy. Is the economy working for them? Well, not if they're being left out in the cold. And I say, and we say, our government must be there for those the economy is leaving behind. I say our government must be compassionate and care for those in need. And the need for affordable, safe, and healthy housing is something we all share. But is it something we can't afford? No. As Jesus said, we are only as rich as the poorest amongst us. Caring for the less fortunate among us is a moral duty, no matter what faith community you come from. First Nations elders say we must balance the four aspects of life, the physical, spiritual, emotional, and intellectual, if we want to achieve personal fulfillment and sustainable communities. In other words, we must care for ourselves and each other. So to me, and I know to you, compassion is part of why we are New Democrats. We believe it takes a village to raise a child. We believe we can do things together that we can't do for ourselves. We believe there is a better way. Many Canadians were born in the years following World War II, and so we know that a whole bunch of us will be reaching retirement age at roughly the same time. Thankfully, we're living longer, healthier lives, but are our pensions adequate? The answer is no. For many, many people who have worked hard and lived honestly, the Canada Pension Plan barely provides for the necessities of life. The CPP is one of the CCF's greatest gifts to Canada, and it needs to be renewed. That's an NDP promise in this campaign. It's a promise that is affordable, and it shows Canadians care. Now, they've been introduced, but I want to acknowledge and thank my colleagues on City Council for being here tonight. Terry Hinks, Sharon Bryce, Chris Zarka, John Findura, Wade Murray, Louis Brown. Thanks very much for coming. I want you to know they're not here because they're New Democrats necessarily. They're here because they care. They care that Regina Qu'Appelle doesn't have a voice in Ottawa. And we've seen it over and over again from our point of view. They're here to say it's time for a change. I want you all to know that I've learned a great deal from working with my colleagues on council. I've learned that people with differing political perspectives can treat each other with respect, can work together to get things done, and at the end of the day, still be friends. Does this mean we always agree? Well, no, it doesn't mean that at all. In fact, the other day we were there was only 10 of us in attendance, and we were split 5-5 on an issue. Well, what that means is that we haven't identified the best public policy yet. So it also means we have more work to do. But at the end of the day, we're going to do that work, and we're going to come up with the best public policy that'll serve the whole community. And that's what I want to do in Ottawa. I've worked in both environments, actually. I've worked in environments where councillors are in camps and where we are colleagues. And I can say from this experience that a lot more gets done when there is respect and affection for each other. A lot more gets done when people listen to each other. One issue that we are all very committed to is the plan to replace Scott Collegiate in Regina North Central neighborhood with a shared service facility. Now the plan is to develop a new high school together with a branch library, daycare, counseling services for families, a spiritual center, recreation center, police substation, and on and on. The library and public school boards, Treaty 4 governments, the city, and the province are all investing in this very important project. Has Andrew Scheer been listening to the people in his own riding? No. All these bodies are coming together to address the profound issues facing families in the North Central community. And where has he been? Why is the Harper government investing in prisons and not in communities? Where is Andrew Scheer on the issue of community flooding? Where is the Canadian government when communities across the prairies are preparing for what could well be the most devastating spring floods we have ever seen? Isn't an ounce of prevention worth a pound of cure? Or does Stephen Harper take voters in Saskatchewan for granted? I want to build this campaign on two themes: compassion, which I've spoken about, and community sustainability. And here's what I mean by that. Mayor Jaworski from QPAR has already told you about the water treatment plant that's being built there. He didn't tell you about the boil water orders that have kept families from having safe water over the past couple of years. The cost is a big one. It's $6.2 million, and $3.5 million are coming from provincial and federal government contributions. And I say that's a good thing. That kind of partnership will give QPAR a future. But Harper says that his government will no longer invest in needed community infrastructure. like water treatment plants. As his minister rudely put it, why should I fix your potholes? Strong partnerships between the federal, provincial, and local governments are essential for community sustainability. But the Harper Tories don't care. They're out. No more money despite the crying need. Short-sighted with no view to the future, no view in fact except for the short-term political game. Invest in prisons, but not water treatment plants? Nuts. Invest billions in fighter jets, but not a penny for landfills, libraries, or sewage treatment plants? Double nuts. We need people in Ottawa who listen to the needs of people in their homes and communities. And that's the kind of MP I will be. That's the kind of leader Jack Layton is. And New Democrats will invest in communities. You can count on it. So as I said to begin, I'm not seeking a privileged position in Parliament. I'm running as your candidate because it is time for your voice to be heard in Ottawa. It's time for Harper to quit taking Regina Qu'Appelle, indeed all of Saskatchewan, for granted. It's time for a change. But let's be very clear. It won't be easy. The Harper Tories are rich. Just have to look at the pre-election ads on all the channels, all the time. They'll be fighting to keep Andrew Scheer in Ottawa. And that means you and I are going to have to work hard, very hard. Now, I'm prepared to do what I can do as a candidate, but I need your help. Can I count on your help? Together we can defeat Andrew Scheer. Will you help? Great. Tonight is the first step. We're going to win this one. I want to thank everyone for coming. I'm honored to be your candidate, and I'm looking forward to working with you to defeat Andrew Scheer in Regina Qu'Appelle. Thank you.